back to the daily grind, and shout out to the full-time patrons. Make sure to hit subscribe if you're new and hit thumbs up if you're not a baby back bagel biting bitch boy, cause you know what time it is. It's full time.
MMA.
What is going on, full-time family? It is time to break down and predict UFC Fight Night Barboza versus Gaethje. This is going to be an epic clash in the main event between two of the most fan-friendly strikers in the UFC's super stacked lightweight division, Edson Barboza and Justin Gaethje, in what I believe is the battle of the best leg kickers in the business. Both of these guys have not just, like when you hear leg kick, like it's like, oh, cool leg kicks, bro. No, I'm talking about the most dangerous, vicious leg kicks. I'm talking, when you think of Edson Barboza and Justin Gaethje, and when I think of this fight, I'm thinking Anderson Silva-esque, like, type leg snapping. And that's not what I want to see, clearly. I don't want to see anybody's legs snap like that. But I just think that's a potential in this fight, guys, because these guys are lethal with the leg kicks. Both of them. And with that being said, this is going to be a really exciting fight for multiple reasons, not just for that. Also, Justin Gaethje, the highlight, coming off of a phenomenal KO win over James Vick in his most recent fight. And Edson Barboza, he's coming off of a very impressive knockout over Dan Hooker. So both of these guys coming off big knockout wins. I mean, I think this main event's going to be fireworks. There's no way this fight card, this main event specifically, does not deliver, in my opinion. So I cannot wait. Another interesting thing about this main event that I'm really looking forward to is I want to see if Justin Gaethje uses his wrestling. I cannot wait to see if he uses his wrestling in this fight. And I say that because two of Edson Barboza's most recent losses came at the hands of current UFC champion, lightweight champion Khabib Nurmagomedov, and then also Kevin Lee. Both of them looked great against Edson Barboza when they were able to utilize their grappling, take him down, and really just pulverize him. Gaethje has wrestling skills. We just don't see them. He's such a fan-friendly fighter. He's, wants to put on a show and entertain so much. He doesn't use his wrestling as often as he probably should, if you're just looking to win fights and ultimately become the champion. I really want to see, and I really want to see if he can use his wrestling in this fight. And even if it's a dominant, unanimous decision win, even though I think he could do some damage with his wrestling, it would just make Gaethje that much more of a complete fighter, I think, in my mind, as far as we know how dangerous he is on the feet. We know how tough he is. Now, let's see his grappling. And this is a fight he could utilize that. I think he'd be smart in this fight. So I cannot wait to watch this main event. We're going to break that down last, even though we kind of just broke it down a little bit. But I'll give you my prediction for the main event in the end. With that being said, we're going to start with the first fight on the main card. And it's going to be between Sodiq Yusuf and Shaman Morais. This is going to be a good fight. I'm really looking forward to watching this entire card. But real quick, before we get into the breakdown and predictions, I do need to make a quick announcement, full-time family. We got big changes coming. And not really big changes, just cool changes, like nothing crazy. I got approached to do our fight companions on a new website, and it's really built for live streaming and live fight companions. It's called sportsbooth.tv. It's got the fight card, the stream can interact, like while you guys are watching, you'll be able to make poll questions and just all type of really cool stuff over there, man. And I got approached to be one of the first people to try it out. So we're going to try and make that happen in a big way as we try to escape the YouTube plantation. And with that being said, I really hope you guys join me. I'm going to even do a Bellator fight companion over there tomorrow because it really looks cool. And I can't wait to see how we do over there. And with that being said, we're going to need the full-time family to just click the link in the description for the fight companion. And before the fight companion, I'm going to make a video and let you guys know as well how to get over to sportsbooth.tv, where we'll be and it's gonna be dope. I can't wait. I think it's gonna make the fight companions infinitely better, even though they're already dope. So with that being said, let's get into these breakdown and predictions, and then I'll give you guys a little bit more of a breakdown on that as well at the end, because I'm really looking forward to the sportsbooth.tv. Sadiq Yusuf versus Morais. Where's my green check mark at? We're going to need that for this. Who am I picking to win this fight? It's going to be Sadiq Yusuf. Morais is currently riding a 2-fight winning streak in the UFC after losing his UFC debut to Zabit Magomedsharipov. His opponent, Super Sadiq Yusuf, is a heavy-hitting featherweight prospect that has looked great in his 9 pro fights, including an action-packed unanimous decision win over Mike Davis on Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series, and a first-round knockout over the undefeated Suman Mokhdarian in his UFC debut. I'm taking Sadiq Yusuf to win this fight. He's only 25 years old with 9 pro fights, so he's slightly younger and less experienced than the 29-year-old Morais, who has 12 pro fights under his resume. But Sadiq Yusuf also went undefeated in 7 fights as an amateur before turning pro. Sadiq hits like a baseball bat, and he's very skilled and explosive, and he's been fighting tough competition throughout his entire career to this point. So I'm picking Sadiq Yusuf to get the W in this fight, and we'll be moving to the next. In the next fight, we have Kennedy Nzechukwu versus the Bear Jew, Paul Craig. In this fight, I'm picking Paul Craig to get the W. Paul Craig started his pro career off with 9 straight wins, all finishes. 8 of those were by way of submission, including his UFC debut. Since then, Paul Craig is 1-3 in the UFC, most recently losing a 3rd round submission loss to Jim Crute, and he could honestly be 0-4 because his only win in that time came via last-second submission against Magomed Ankalaev, who was winning the fight up until that point. There was literally 4:59 gone, 1 second left on the clock, and Paul Craig got a win, or he could be 0-4 right now. Kennedy Nzechukwu is undefeated at 6-0, making his UFC debut after knocking out his opponent on Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series in the 1st round. This is almost a toss-up for me because I'm not confident in picking either of these guys to win a UFC fight, but I'm taking Paul Craig just because he's the toughest opponent to win a UFC. He's the toughest opponent that Kennedy Nzechukwu has fought to date. So even though that's not saying much, if you look into Kennedy Nzechukwu's opponents to date, I mean, it's a lot of guys, you know, with 500 records and just, you know, not super impressive. So just Paul Craig's UFC experience puts him a little ahead in this fight. I think he's going to be a little more well-rounded for sure. He could get a submission in this fight. He's just the most experienced and highest level competition that Kennedy has fought to date. So Kennedy can win this fight, of course, but I think Paul Craig wins a decision or a submission as long as he can avoid being knocked out. Now, moving on to the first WMMA bout of the main card, and I think the only, but a goodie. Karolina Kowalkiewicz versus the Karate Hottie Michelle Waterson. I'm taking Michelle Waterson in this fight, guys, but it is a really tough fight for me to pick because Michelle Waterson has been looking great, no pun intended, as she's currently riding a 2-fight winning streak over Courtney Casey and Felice Herrig. Karolina Kowalkiewicz, on the other hand, always looks great, but she's coming off potentially the most brutal one-punch knockout loss in WMMA history at the hands of Jessica Andrade. Aside from that, Karolina Kowalkiewicz is a former UFC title challenger that only loses to the best fighters in the world and currently holds a split decision win over current UFC champion Rose Namajunas. I actually think I'm going to pick Michelle Waterson to win this fight, but it's really close for me. I give Karolina a slight edge in the striking department, but I think Michelle Waterson is a little more well-rounded. Therefore, she has more paths to victory to win this fight. We saw Michelle Waterson take down the much bigger Courtney Casey in their fight. Not only does she have good stand-up in jiu-jitsu, but her wrestling's also there. So I'm picking Michelle Waterson to come out here and get the W. And we'll move on to the next fight. And it's going to be between, let's get the check mark in the middle, Michael Johnson and Josh Emmett are going to be throwing down in the featherweight division. I do think Michael Johnson will be moving back up to lightweight soon. He's talked about that, but still holding it down at lightweight. This is a good fight. This is one of the potential fight of the nights. This could be a really good fight, but I mean, when there's Edson Barboza versus Justin Gaethje on the card, I'm not confident saying anything's going to be fight of the night other than that. But Michael Johnson has 20 fights in the UFC. He's currently riding a 2-fight winning streak coming into this fight with Josh Emmett, who has less pro fights total than Michael Johnson has UFC fights at 13-2. So Josh Emmett has 15 total pro fights, and Mike Johnson has 20 fights just in the UFC. So that's always a big deal to me. Josh Emmett, though, he's no slouch. He trains with Team Alpha Male and holds wins over Scott Holtzman and Ricardo Lamas, which earned him a top contender fight against Jeremy Stephens, in which he was KO'd. A little bit of a devastating KO there, a little bit of controversy as well, but yeah, he's coming back off of that KO loss. This is a tough fight to call. I'm giving the edge to Michael Johnson off of UFC experience. That's why he's getting the nod for me. 20 fights in the UFC is not some fluke. Both of these guys are well-rounded with some good fight teams, but Michael Johnson has been fighting higher-level competition for a long time, given that he has more than 3 times the amount of fights in the UFC as his opponent. So I got Michael Johnson to win this fight, but anything can happen for sure. You know, Michael Johnson, he's, what is he? He's 11-9 in the UFC, so he's about 500 in the UFC, but he is still a really good fighter regardless of the record. He fights the toughest fights. He holds a win over Tony Ferguson. So with that being said, he's a phenomenal fighter. We've got 2 more fights to break down on this card. Just give me 1 second. I gotta answer this and I'll be right back. Alright, moving on to the co-main event of the evening. We've got David Branch versus Jack Hermansson. David Branch, Barbershop Branch, taking on the Joker, Jack Hermansson. Man, what a fight. Oh, this is so hard to call. The Joker, Jack Hermansson, is a monster. David Branch coming off of that unfortunate loss to what's his name, Jared Cannonier, the dude from Alaska. I really thought David Branch was gonna pull that win out. I mean, because he's looked great. He's been fighting the highest level competition since he joined the UFC. He's got some big wins outside the UFC. That loss set him back a little bit, man. He was en route to a big fight with Jacare that I could not wait to watch. It got taken away from us because Jacare got a different fight. Yeah, man, just unfortunate. I really wanted to see that David Branch versus Jacare fight. Now he took that L, and he's going to be taking the gauntlet on Jack Hermansson, who's dangerous and also not a great style matchup for David Branch. Who am I going to pick to win this fight? Let me pull up my notes. Let me see. Who did I pick? I picked David Branch. I'm picking David Branch to win this fight. Jack Hermansson is 5-2 in the UFC, currently riding a 2-fight win streak. He's 4-1 in his last 5 fights, only losing to Thiago Santos. David Branch actually has a win over Thiago Santos, but he's coming off of a second-round knockout loss to Jared Cannonier. This is a tough fight to call because David Branch is a really good fighter who came into the UFC a little late, but he's been fighting tough competition inside and outside the UFC. His loss to Jared Cannonier is a little bit concerning, or I would for sure be picking him to win this fight. Also, I could see him losing this fight in a similar fashion to the way he lost to Luke Rockhold, who was able to take him down and beat him up via ground and pound, which is how Hermansson has won 3 of his last 4 fights. So this is really a toss-up for me. I'm just picking David Branch because he has been fighting, I feel like, slightly higher level competition, and also I'm a little biased because I want to see him get a win and hopefully get back to that Jacare fight, low-key. So, but it's a toss-up for me, honestly. I'm not super confident in this prediction in David Branch by any means, but that is who I'm picking to win the fight. With that being said, let's move to the main event. The fan-friendly striking showdown between Edson Barboza and Justin Gaethje. I broke this fight down at the beginning of the show. I mean, I could just go on and on about this fight and salivate, but it's just 2 days away, and I would rather not even, you know, like when it comes to fights like this, I really sometimes, it's like, I don't give a damn about predicting this fight. I just want to watch it. I just want to enjoy this fight. I don't care about being right or wrong or who do I think. No, this is just a fight you watch and you enjoy. Probably going to be easily could be one of the best fights of the year. Just easily. If you're talking about matchmaking, which fight on paper has potential to be fight of the year, this is one of them. So I just cannot wait for this card for that reason. Now I'll get into my prediction, I suppose. Oh, it's super tough. Justin Gaethje, of course, coming off that huge win over James Vick. Edson Barboza coming off of a big bounce back win after losing to two of the best fighters in the lightweight division. You know, Kevin Lee is still extremely well-rounded and dangerous, regardless of that loss to ally Quintin. He's still a really good fighter. Edson Barboza, he's coming off a big win over Dan Hooker. I'm picking Justin Gaethje to win this fight, guys. I'm picking Justin Gaethje to win this fight. And I say that just because I really hope he employs his wrestling. That would just take Justin Gaethje to the next level for me. If he could come in here and show that he can wrestle like Khabib or Kevin Lee. If he can, you know, utilize that game, even if you can just take him down a couple times. If you want to have a fan-friendly fight, take him down, show off your wrestling, get him tired. Then, you know, once he's wore out, start teeing off on his ass in the second round. But I just really, really want to see Justin Gaethje utilize this wrestling. I'm not anywhere near confident in this prediction because before the UFC, Justin Gaethje was not fighting the highest level competition. But ever since he's came to the UFC, that's all he's been doing. And he's been hanging in there with literally the best fighters in the world. The Dustin Poiriers and, you know, the James Vick, who he just knocked out. Before that, of course, he fought Michael Johnson in a fight that was one of the fight of the years, maybe one of the best fights of all time. Just, oh, what a fight. I mean, just this guy, the Eddie Alvarez, what? So yeah, he wasn't fighting the highest level competition before he came to the UFC, but he's got here and he's done nothing but have brawls and epic performances against the best. That's what this could be, and that's why this is just going to be a fight I can't wait to watch. I'm giving Justin Gaethje a slight edge as far as my prediction. So thank you guys for tuning into this, but we really got to talk about this one more time because I can't wait. I've got a new fire under me, you guys. Like, I'm looking forward to streaming because of this new website. They reached out to me. They said I'm partnered with them because I'm one of the first 100. There's more people. Joey Diaz has been on there. He did a fight companion on this website. But it's just super cool because I'm able to already be partnered with them. And it allows you guys to do shit and interact throughout the stream. The mods and people can make polls or just different stuff. The fight card is on the screen. It's a really dope service. They've been working out the kinks and stuff, and I think it's to a point to where it's streamable for us. And so we're gonna try that out this weekend. I want to try it out tomorrow on Friday. So make sure you guys check the link in the description. I'm going to be posting it in the description. I'm going to make videos letting you guys know that we're going to be on sportsbooth.tv/s/fulltimemma. So thank you guys for watching this breakdown and prediction. And if you're looking forward to the fight companion, make sure you tune in this Saturday. We're going to be on sportsbooth.tv and it's going to be fucking epic. Let's go. That being said, it is what it is. Let the Full Time family know what you think in the comments. I'm out.
Da 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 da! It's the motherfucking DOWG!